15th, 2022. And I'd like to also recognize that Amy Popkin is participating remotely. We are broadcasting this meeting live, and she'll be speaking via the phone call. I just wanted to make everybody aware of that. Can you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have some special presentations tonight, Madam Mayor. She is coming around.
Took a while.
So we have two proclamations this evening, and the first one is honors a milestone and a lifetime of service for Tom and Carol Logan. Did you want to come up? So this proclamation honors Tom and Carol Logan for 54 years of service. In 1968, Tom Logan opened his auto collision repair shop, Logan Auto Body, after serving the Navy on the aircraft carrier USS Saratoga. Over 54 years, Tom and Carol have sponsored hundreds of local athletes, students, teams, families, and charities. They have supported Central Bucks students, the Doylestown Athletic Association, local gymnasts, Irish dancers, local athletic teams, as well as the local police and fire departments. For over 30 years, Tom delivered the borough Christmas tree to the center of town for the annual tree lighting and the arrival of Santa. During snowstorms, Tom would take his tow truck on the road and pull cars out of ditches when they were stuck. Both Carol and Tom changed people's lives through their humanity and intervention. Whereas Tom and Carol have demonstrated their commitment to the community through their work, now therefore be it proclaimed that the Borough of Doylestown honors Tom and Carol Logan for their 54 years of service to its citizens and asks that the community remember the intersection of Harvey and Doyle Streets as Logan's corner in our hearts. In witness thereof, I set my hand today, the 15th of August. Would you like to say anything?
We would just like to thank everybody and all our patriots, everybody that has ever come across our way, and we're just proud to be a part of Doylestown. We love it.
And I think the press would like a photo op here. Okay. And then we have one more proclamation, and I'm missing Joan Doyle, but she is honored that we are doing this. It's a proclamation in honor of Turning the Town Teal campaign. Whereas our community is committed to the challenge of fighting cancer in all its form, whereas Turn the Town's Teal is a national effort to create awareness of ovarian cancer and its symptoms, a campaign in which we've been proud to participate for years, regardless of other challenges our community has faced. Now, therefore, we are proud to declare our support for this worthy campaign and declare September as Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month in our community. We are proud to display the ribbons of ovarian cancer awareness throughout our downtown area, and we call upon our residents, organizations, and healthcare providers to raise awareness of ovarian cancer as well as all cancers and the importance of early detection to help those in our community live longer, healthier lives. I witness whereof, I hereto set my hand on the 15th day of August.
Next item on our agenda tonight is the approval of minutes from the July 18th, 2022 council meeting.
So move.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and second. Any questions or comments from any members of council? Any questions or comments from any members of the public? Hearing none, I'd like to call a vote. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And Madam Mayor, do you have a report for us tonight?
I have no report tonight.
Okay, thank you. Public Safety, Mr. Frederick.
Mr. President, I have the fire company monthly report, which everyone has in their packet, and that is the end of my report.
Thank you, Mr. Frederick. Public Works Administration, Mr. Brown.
Mr. President, we did not meet this month, but the Public Works report is in the packet, and I'll pass it over to Mr. Ellinger for any comments.
I don't have a lot of comments. We've been doing a lot of water jobs lately and trying to get caught up on some water repair work. Trying to keep the trees and baskets alive during the previous drought. We've been on a daily watering regimen throughout town. I think we've gotten through the worst of it. These cool temperatures this last weekend are very helpful. I think all plants are stressed right now. I think this is part of the natural seasonal cycle. I think everything's going to come back. We're going to lose a couple of trees across the street, which would be expected in any new planting of that magnitude. So all in all, I'd say the state of the borough and the parks is good. That's the end of my report.
Thank you, Mr. Ellinger. That's all I have, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Community and Government Affairs, Mr. Bell, do you have anything for us?
I do, thank you, Mr. President. The committee did not meet, but I have three quick observations. One is that we have on September 10th and 11th, the Arts Festival coming up. And on September 11th is also the Bucks County Classic. And my third comment is that I'm watching the live feed, and I just want to thank staff for doing a great job, and I'm really digging the camera angles. It's great to see the new premises fulfilling part of that vision. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Bell. Zoning and Planning, Mr. Brennan.
Yes, we had several matters on the agenda. First was authorization to advertise ordinance for amending our stormwater management ordinance. Attached, please find the above referenced draft ordinance amending the language in the stormwater management ordinance. The amendment is required for compliance with the borough's MS4 NPDES permit and includes additional definitions, codifies our existing policy on requiring as-built drawings, and sets standards for inspection requirements for large stormwater management facilities. The Zoning and Planning Committee recommends authorizing advertisement of the ordinance. If council is in agreement with the recommendation, it may authorize advertisement by motion, and I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and second. Do we have any questions or comments from any members of the council? Hearing none, any questions or comments from any members of the public? Hearing none, I'd like to call a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Next on the agenda is the zoning hearing board report, and I'll defer to Ms. Highland on that.
Thank you, Mr. Brennan. The zoning hearing board will be meeting on August 17th to hear two applications for variances. The first is for 91 East State and 50 Garden Alley. There are two buildings on that lot right now. They are owned in condominium, and the applicant would like to convert one of the buildings from an office use to a single-family dwelling. It is a conforming use, however, it creates some dimensional inconsistencies with our ordinance, so they're requesting a variance from the lot area per dwelling unit. The second application is for 108 Cottage Street. The applicant would like to remove an existing addition on the back of the house and replace it with a larger addition, and they're also requesting dimensional relief.
I have a question. So the first one on 91 East State Street and 50 Garden Alley, is that, are they going to have two residential units then on that property?
They're both offices right now,
Oh.
and they're converting one to residential.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Highland. Next on the agenda is Historic and Architecture Review Board report. At its regular monthly meeting, the Borough of Doylestown Historic and Architecture Review Board recommended the following. There was one sign application, 182 West Court Street. That was a sign application. There were 4 building applications. 2018 East Court Street, which is a porch addition. 307 Belmont, which is a roof. 238 West Court Street, which was a garage, and 108 Cottage, which was an addition. The Zoning and Planning Committee recommends that council approve the application in accordance with Harb's recommendation. If council wishes to follow the committee's recommendation, it can do so by motion, and I so move.
We have a motion and second. Do we have any questions or comments from any members of council? Hearing none, any questions or comments from any members of the public? Hearing none, I'd like to call a vote. I'm sorry. Yes. Can you identify yourself for the record, please? Can you come up to the microphone?
My name is Cheryl Volpe. I live at 307 Belmont Avenue. You approved our replacement of a roof. And does this approve our permit, and where should we get it? Would it be later or here?
Karen, you want to weigh in there?
Cheryl, if you submitted the building permit application for that, then we'll issue it and email it to you in the next few days. I think you did give us your email address.
I had the samples. You'll all remember that. Thank you.
Thanks, Cheryl.
Thanks for commenting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And then finally, we have the code enforcement monthly report, the building inspection monthly report, which are in your packet for your review.
Did we
We didn't
vote?
vote that, did
We
we?
didn't vote.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. I don't believe there are any further questions from public. Hearing none, I'd like to call a vote. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
All right, now we have code enforcement monthly report, the building inspection monthly report, which are in your packets for your review. And that concludes my report.
Okay. Environment and Rec, Ms. Margolis.
Thank you, Mr. President. The first item of business is resolution number 2022-12 in support of House Bill 2614 to prohibit intentional balloon releases to protect wildlife, livestock, and pets. Attached, please find the above referenced resolution in support of House Bill number 2614 to prohibit intentional balloon releases to protect wildlife, livestock, and pets. The Environment and Recreation Committee is recommending adoption of the ordinance. If council wishes to follow the recommendation, it can do so by motion, and I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and second. Do we have any questions?
Clarification, it's a resolution.
I'm sorry?
Oh, in the paragraph, it says ordinance. It's a resolution. It says that the title,
Recommending adoption of the ordinance. It's
yeah.
a Resolution, yeah.
A resolution.
Oh, there's a typo in the middle.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
So it's the resolution.
it's a resolution.
Okay. So I guess we need to vote on it.
You have a motion and a second on the
We have a motion and second on the floor. Any other questions or comments from any members of council? Hearing none? Any questions from any members of the public? Hearing none, I'd like to call a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
The second item is Fanny Chapman Dive Pool Building concrete repairs. That is mine, right? Yeah. Bids were opened via pen bid on July 19th, 2022 for the Phase 2A and 2B repairs to the Fanny Chapman Dive Pool involving Type 2 concrete repairs, carbon fiber, structural repairs, and epoxy injection at various locations. The bid tabulation by Gilmore and Associates is attached. The Fanny Chapman Pool Board reviewed the bids and are requesting council award both Phase 2A and 2B Type 2 concrete repairs, CFRP carbon fiber wrap, structural repairs, and epoxy injection to Coordinated Systems Consulting Incorporated in the amount of $238,246.50. The Environment and Recreation Committee reviewed this item at its August 11th, 2022 meeting and is recommending that council award the bid to Coordinated Systems Consulting Incorporated. If council agrees with the recommendation, it can be done so by motion, and I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and second. Do we have any questions or comments from any members of council? Hearing none, any questions or comments from any members of the public? Hearing none, I'd like to call a vote. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Ms. Margolis. Water utility, Ms. Jarrett.
We did meet this week. We had a rather full agenda. First order of business is the PFAS treatment feasibility alternatives study. Attached, you can find a proposal from our water engineer to prepare the above referenced study at a cost of $20,000. The Water Utility Committee has reviewed the proposal and is recommending that council authorize the study to proceed. Also attached for your reference is information regarding PFAS prepared by our chief water operator. This important information will be posted to our website, disseminated to residents and businesses through social media. If council wishes to follow the recommendation, it may do so by motion, and I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and second. Do we have any questions or comments from any members of council?
Just a question, Mr. President. Is there a threshold for when jobs have to be completed?
Threshold for what? I'm sorry, Mr. Bell?
I think he said a threshold for when the job has to be completed.
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 Yeah,
Bid.
talking about bids.
Oh, no, we don't have to bid this with our consultant engineer. We're under the bid threshold regardless.
All right.
This is a professional services arrangement with our own engineer.
Okay. Thanks, Mr. Davis.
Any other questions or comments?
Mr. President, can someone explain, or maybe John can explain to the public why this study is needed? The public might not know what's going on.
No problem, Mr. Frederick. Stepping back, obviously, PFAS and PFAS have been a big issue. The chemicals as a whole are generally referred to as PFAS. We have noted for some time the presence of this forever chemical, as it's called, in traces in all of our wells. Up to recently, and in fact, still, the only standard for PFAS, official standard for PFAS, is a federal recommendation, a health advisory of 70 parts per trillion. Now, our wells have well below those numbers and haven't come anywhere close to exceeding that existing federal health advisory. However, two things have happened recently. Number one, various states have begun to move ahead of EPA and establish their own MCLs, which is a maximum contaminant level, and it is something that is actionable and is a requirement as opposed to an advisory. The Commonwealth of Pennsylvania then initiated a process to do so as well, and that process has been ongoing for several years now. The Commonwealth is nearing the end of its process and is preparing to release the results and to establish for the first time an MCL in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania for PFAS. In the meantime, several months ago, EPA, somewhat surprisingly, issued a statement that they were prepared to change their health advisory from 70 parts per trillion to essentially zero. A very modestly small number. That caught some folks off guard, including the Commonwealth, I believe, who were prepared, and we believe will be issuing an MCL in the coming weeks or perhaps months that does exceed that. And that's motivated our action at this point. You'll see in the information that we're preparing to disseminate that the borough has traces of PFAS and PFAS in all of its wells. Based on our latest testing, we expect us to be in compliance with the new state MCL, meaning that as far as the Commonwealth is concerned, at the moment that the standards are released, all borough water will be in compliance. But hovering over that is the EPA statement and the obvious potential for EPA to act on that by creating its own MCL, and for DEP in the Commonwealth to react as well by almost immediately revisiting this standard and lowering it. We are close enough, although below, to the MCL that's going to be released, and anticipating that that MCL will eventually reduce. We feel it's worthwhile to move immediately and to begin planning for a world where PFAS is essentially has a maximum contaminant level of near zero.
Thank you, Mr. Davis.
And just to clarify, John, I want to make sure it's clear to everybody. This is a study to come up with a study that would come up with a recommended approach as to how we could, what treatments could be provided and how it could be provided. This is not actually doing the improvements to the wells. Is that correct?
That's correct. I mean, this is big, and it's going to be an expensive process, and it's going to be quite an involved process from a construction standpoint. All of our wells will need to be upgraded with some kind of treatment system if they are to have any kind of future. Those systems are expensive. Those systems take up space. They're fairly large, and we don't have a lot of room in the areas of our well houses here in the borough. So we're going to look at every option that's available. There are 3 different types of treatment that are out there currently. Some of those are brand new and are still being evaluated by DEP. We're very much on the cusp of this treatment. The testing is actually getting better as we move forward and is better able to identify these chemicals. So this is really a very fluid situation, but we've determined that that it's undoubtedly the fact that we're going to need to remove PFAS and PFOS from our public water in some fashion, and that we need to get started on this. The sooner we can do that, the better position we'll be to meet deadlines when they finally are due emerge, and the closer to the head of the line we can get when grant funds are made available, which are going to be very critical, across the Commonwealth and across the country as thousands of small water systems deal with this issue and this problem in the next decade.
And we've discussed that treating for PFAS, any PFAS reduction essentially, is the same cost as if we treat to zero. So we would opt to treat for zero. So if we were, if the legal threshold became 5, the cost to our change in our system would be the same as if we were treating to zero, as far as we can tell. So our goal in that would be treating to zero for maximum safety, but also it wouldn't be a big cost or engineering differential there, as far as we can tell. And the common questions around PFAS that has been put together by our chief water operator, Jerry Mimatazzo, is really comprehensive. We'll be making it available to the public, but it really answers every question is from what is PFAS, what are the implications of it, what can we do about it, what are the different treatment options. There are 3 different options that will be looked at. So that's going to be a really helpful document for everybody.
And just for the record, as I said, the current federal advisory is 70 parts per trillion. The proposed Pennsylvania MCL is going to be 14 parts per trillion for what's called PFOA and 18 parts per trillion for PFOS. So vastly reduced from 70, but still significantly above zero. As Ms. Jarrett mentioned, to treat to 18 and 14 is largely the same process as to treat to zero. But just so everyone understands what the situation is with PFOS and PFAS in our drinking water at this time, there will be, we don't know what time frame will be given by the Commonwealth in order to meet their standard. We assume it's going to be somewhat lengthy because it is such an involved process, both from a design standpoint and from a financial standpoint. So there will be some time frames laid out. We don't know what they are. We intend to meet them and exceed them if we can. But we know where we're going to end up here, and we might as well get started now.
Okay, thank you again.
I have a question, if I could. Do we anticipate any costs related to initial, recurrent, and any regulatory requirements for training the operator and recertifying the operator?
I don't believe there'll be any changes from a licensing standpoint. There will be training that will be required. Our chief water operator is well versed in this, as is our engineer. So I don't expect that to be a cost issue. There will obviously be engineering costs and consultant fees, dealing with addressing this. The cost of the treatment is significant as well, both from the type of media and different material costs of treating, as well as operator time and involvement. It will have a very significant impact on a water system as small as ours, with a budget that's as relatively small as ours. This is a project in the $7.5 to $10 million construction range potentially, and one that could add up to $250,000 to $300,000 a year in additional operating costs, and that's dependent upon whether we have to provide more staff. So, if you look at the size of our water budget, you can see what a gigantic impact that has. I also should add that this is something that is affecting all of our neighbors, and at least in one case with Doylestown Township Municipal Authority, neighbors that are interconnected to our system. So we can't check their water at the border, if you will. So we've been consulting with them as well, because they will need to be undertaking the same process as us, because even if we get our water cleaned up, we've also got to make sure that water that comes into the system from elsewhere is not affected. So there's a lot to discuss. There are issues of the potential purchase of bulk water. Those sources also have PFAS and PFAS issues potentially. But we have not, in our history, purchased water from outside. We've provided practically all of our drinking water, other than that for emergencies and fires, from our own five wells. So that would be a major departure were we to undertake purchase from elsewhere. So all of these things are on the table, a lot of moving parts, and we're very much at the beginning of the process, with a lot of unknowns still out there.
Any other questions from any members of council?
Mr. President, I just wanted to recognize our Chief Water Engineer, Jeremy Matazzo's efforts in this, because he did get this kind of pretty quickly, thrown together pretty quickly and very well over the last couple of weeks. And it's not a surprise to any of us is the level of his work, but this was extraordinary, and I believe it deserves recognition.
We will be getting this fact sheet that Jeremy's put together out as quickly as we can. We're just kind of dotting the i's and crossing the t's, so the public should look for that on our website and on our social media. We'll answer some questions, some of the technical questions, provide some insight into what to do about exposure between today and somewhere down the road where this is going to be addressed and across the country. We'll also be building a more formal aspect of our website, since this is going to be such a big ongoing issue where people can go to get information and updates on how we're moving with this.
Any other questions or comments from the members of council? Any questions or comments from any members of the public? Hearing none, I'd like to call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Additionally, we discussed the potential sale of the Bucks County Water and Sewer Authority. So in our packet, we have, please find a letter to the Bucks County Board of Commissioners and Bucks County Water and Sewer Authority board members opposing the sale of the Bucks County Water and Sewer Authority sewer utilities to Aqua, Pennsylvania. Attached, please find the above referenced letter. We also have a printout of that. The Water Utility Committee is recommending that council authorize the letter's transmission to the Bucks County Board of Commissioners and Bucks County Water and Sewer Authority Board. If council wishes to follow the recommendation, it may do so by motion, and I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and second. Do we have any questions or comments from any members of council? Hearing none, any questions or comments from any members of the public? Hearing none, I'd like to call a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Additionally, we have a resolution number 2022-11 opposing the sale of Bucks County Water and Sewer Authority's sewer assets to Aqua Pennsylvania. Attached, please find the above referenced resolution opposing the sale of Bucks County Water and Sewer Authority's sewer assets to Aqua Pennsylvania. The Water Authority Committee is recommending the adoption of resolution number 2022-11. If council wishes to follow the recommendation, it may do so by motion, and I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and second. Ms. Jarrett, could I ask you to actually read the resolution into the record here?
Absolutely. Resolution number 2022-11, Borough of Doylestown, Bucks County, Pennsylvania. Resolution opposing the sale of the Bucks County Water and Sewer Authority's sewer assets to Aqua Pennsylvania. Whereas Bucks County Water and Sewer Authority provides services to about 100,000 households, nearly 1/3 of the county population in 31 municipalities, and is the largest single provider of water and sewer services in the county. And whereas Bucks County Water and Sewer Authority is considering an offer from Aqua to purchase its sewer assets for $1.1 billion. And whereas Aqua's rates are set through rate-making procedures before the Pennsylvania Public Utility Commission, and Aqua has a history of increasing its sewer rates substantially, including those municipalities which sold their private wastewater systems to Aqua, including Limerick Township, whose rates increased 82%, East Bradford Township, whose rates increased 64%, Cheltenham Township, whose rates increased 65%, East Norriton Township, whose rates increased 57%, and New Garden Township, whose rates increased 53%. And whereas at the time when costs are increasing for all Bucks County residents, through no fault of our elected officials, residents can scarcely afford an increase in sewer fees. And whereas Doylestown Borough Council believes it is unconscionable for the Bucks County Water and Sewer Authority to sell its sewer assets to Aqua, as the long-term financial impacts that major increases in sewer rates will have on residents and businesses being served and on Bucks County in general. And whereas wastewater services such as those provided by the Bucks County Water and Sewer Authority are essential to protecting the environment, and it's imperative to those services be provided at a cost-effective and reasonable fee structures. And whereas privatization of the BCWSA's sewer assets ultimately results in negative impacts for local municipalities and their residents. Now, therefore, it be resolved, the Doylestown Borough Council is opposed to the sale of the BCWSA's sewer assets to Aqua Pennsylvania and implores the BCWSA to abandon negotiations with Aqua and continue to operate as an independent nonprofit agency. Further, Doylestown Borough Council respectfully implores that the county commissioners take all reasonable and necessary steps to compel BCWSA to abandon its negotiations and continue operating as an independent nonprofit agency, as intended when it was created in 1962 by the Bucks County Commissioners. If there is no other recourse, we believe the county should disband the BCWSA and take over the sewer assets and operation of the sewer system until a public entity is found to sell the system to. Resolved and enacted this 15th day of August, 2022.
We have a motion and a second on the floor. Do we have any questions or comments from any members of council? Hearing none, any questions or comments from members of the public? Hearing none, I'd like to call a vote. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Carries. Finance and I think.
Before I conclude my report, I wanted to, our water operator, Jeremy, mentioned that the work of Steve Groover, Rich Pohl, Chris Marone, and Brian Pica with Public Works have done some really extraordinary work, especially through the heat wave with the water department. And we just wanted to acknowledge their efforts. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Ms. Jarrett. Finance and pension, Ms. Popkin, I think you're on the phone. Can you have anything?
Yes. Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me on the phone for this report. The Finance and Pension Committee did meet, and we discussed the second quarter pension plan performance with Gerard Pension Services. They met us in person for this meeting. We also discussed the acquisition of the PennDOT property and had our counsel, Curtin and Hefner, as well at the meeting. And we did a mid-year budget review to start our process of creating the new budget for next year. And then I'd like Caroline to go over the bills to be paid that were in your packet.
Sure. Thank you, Ms. Popkin. Everybody was provided with a finance report for August 15th. The total of prepaid bills, accounts payable, and payroll for all funds is $1,240,783.54.
I think we need a motion.
And I'd
for
like
that.
to make a motion to approve these bills, and I do so make that motion.
Second.
We have a motion and second. Do we have any questions or comments from any members of council? Hearing none, any questions or comments from any members of the public? Hearing none, I'd like to call a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Carries. I think that's it, Ms. Popkin?
Thank you, Mr. President. That's the end of the report.
Okay, enjoy your vacation.
Thank you.
Personnel, I do not have any report. We did not meet. Professionals reports. Mr. Doherty, do you have anything for us?
Thank you. I have nothing to report tonight.
Bucky, do you have anything for us?
Thank you. No report.
Chief Knott?
No report. Thank you.
Thank you. I do not have a president's report. Do we have any items of old business? Hearing none, any items of new business? Do we have open public comment? And we have an executive session. Are we going to be taking action coming back from that?
Yes, we will.
Okay. So we will adjourn for executive session
To
to the room. If you want to stay here, we can, we'll come back into session, so.
So the purpose of the executive session is to discuss the purchase of real estate, in this case, the purchase of this property and the property of Broad Commons Park from the Heritage Conservancy.
Okay.
How are we going to do this?
Let's give it a pen.
Yeah, Amy.
All right.
about that?
We are back from our executive session at 7:47, and we discussed the purchase of this property and the adjacent property across the street, the park, and our solicitor is going to read a motion for us.
Yes, if council is so inclined, the motion would be to authorize the purchase of the Broad Street properties from the Heritage Conservancy pursuant to the terms of an agreement of sale substantially in the form as presented at tonight's meeting with such amendments, additions, or changes as may be approved by council president.
I'd make that motion.
Second.
We have a motion and second. Do we have any questions or comments from any members of the council?
Just a brief explanation for the public that the borough currently holds these properties under a 99-year lease with the Heritage Conservancy, which is tantamount to ownership. This transaction simply renders it official fee simple ownership. So it's really just a paper transaction that modestly changes the situation. There's no additional financial remuneration due for this transaction. Simply makes us the actual owner instead of a 99-year tenant.
And the payments would be in accordance with our current structure of, we have lease payments due, I think, in February of 2023 and in February of 2024. Is that correct?
There's no change.
There's no change to that. Any other questions or comments from council? Hearing none, any questions or comments from members of the public? Hearing none, I'd like to call a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Aye.
Little bit of a delay there. I would entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Really.